Hello YouTube, and you guys have been asking for this for a while. A bunch of people have been requesting this, so you know what? Fuck it, you're gonna get it. And this is my Affliction Warlock guide. Welcome to 6.1 Affliction Warlock. This is what you're gonna be running on every single fight. Get used to it. So I had a dentist appointment today, so half my face is still numb, so if I sound a little unusual, that's why, but I really don't give a shit, because I want to get this guide out of the way and get this content to you guys. And go do some things that I need to go do. So, let's start with the basics, like we do with every spec. So, as an Affliction Warlock, you are a dot class. As it says here, a master of shadow magic, who specializes in drains and damage over time spells, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing. So, you have three main dots. They are called Agony, which inflicts increasing agony on the target, causing 55,000 shadow damage over 24 seconds. Damage starts low and increases over the duration. So the higher the stacks get, the more damage it does. You have Unstable Affliction. This is going to be probably your heaviest hitting dot in most situations. Causes 31.3k damage over 14 seconds. If dispelled, the dispeller suffers 31,312 instant shadow damage and is silenced for 4 seconds. This is a mean dot in PvP, and this damage is always a critical strike. As for your third main dot, it's actually not on that screen, but it's down here called Corruption. It corrupts the target, causing 30,000 shadow damage over 18 seconds. Your most recently applied Corruption has an 8.5% chance to generate a Soul Shard each time it deals damage. Now, that is the basic rotation of the spells, okay? And it's pretty simple, relatively speaking. But then there's some other things that you have to factor in. You got this neat spell called Haunt. A ghostly soul haunts the target, dealing 32,000 shadow damage and increasing damage over time if you deal to the target by 30% for 10 seconds. So you can imagine, you'd want to have a good uptime on this if possible. Now, your main resource as an Affliction Warlock is something called the Soul Shard. As you can see down here, I'm tracking them. You can have 4 at a time, and casting a Haunt will consume 1 Soul Shard. Casting a Soul Burn, okay? Soul Burn is an ability that will empower certain other abilities. So say I want to summon a demon instantly, I soul burn and hit that demon summon and it summons it instantly, just like summoning a demon in metamorphosis form. Okay, let's read soul burn. Consumes a soul shard, enhancing some of your spells, summon demon, demonic circle teleport, seed of corruption, and soul swap. Now, before we get into what soul swap does and how useful it's not this expansion, because they nerfed the shit out of it, let's talk about Seed of Corruption. Now, I've had some questions about Seed of Corruption. Hey, when you play Affliction, do you use Seed of Corruption? That's basically the general question. And the answer is no, never. Ever use Seed of Corruption because it's a gigantic waste of time, and Warlock, Affliction, Warlock, AoE is dog shit. Don't ever do it. So, alright, so let's get into the stat priorities really quick, alright? Just to get this out of the way. Haste is your main stat. It's a fucking badass stat. I'm running an RPPM Haste Trinket with a Gorn Soul Repository because it is so strong and I have a mythic version. Mastery is your second stat. Pretty good stat. Increases all your dot damage. Multi-Strike, in my opinion, comes over crit, but Multi-Strike is a little hard to get. And then Versatility, of course, is the bottom because fuck Versatility is a useless stat. They should get it out of the game. Alright, so let's talk about rotation a little bit, right? So, you could soul burn before the pull, right? So let me just explain how this works, okay? So if you soul burn, takes away one of my soul shards, right? Let's turn some sound on, let's get that going. And you see up here, there's a buff for soul burn that lasts 28 seconds, I believe. And this is useful because if you can soul burn before a pull and let that soul burn tick down, you will actually regenerate that soul shard that you lost back, just like that. And I still have 8 seconds before my soul burn goes away, so I have full soul shards, okay? So that's really good. You should always do that before a pull. If you can, like, request a 25-second timer, because that's a good timer, right as the 25-second timer goes out, you hit soul burn, boom. We're waiting 25 seconds. By the time that the timer is over and you're going to pull, that 25 seconds is going to be over. Ignore my dog in the background. So it's really, really useful. Alright, so let's talk talents really quick, because talents are a very important part of this whole thing, and it all ties together, okay? So, if you don't have enough haste, don't play Affliction. Unless you're a casual player and you're doing like kind of casual, like normal or like raids or something like that, don't play Affliction. I have 1,000 haste, which I find adequate to play Affliction in a heroic and sometimes a mythic setting, though I choose not to because Demonology will pull ahead and single target. unless the kill is very fast. Destruction will pull ahead on multi-target, like AoE. That's just how it's going to be. Affliction is just not that strong right now. So let me explain the talents, because it is very important, and it all, like I said, it all ties together, okay? So your talents for your kind of side talents, the first 4 tiers, don't really matter. I choose Grimoire of Supremacy because there's no reason to run Sacrifices Affliction ever. Don't ever do that. Ever. Grimoire of Service, it just kind of sucks ass. I would just rather have my Observer, which does a fair amount of damage. Archimonde's Darkness always for all 3 specs. Let's talk about Soulburn Haunt really quick. Grants the Soulburn empowerment to your Haunt spell. This means that when you cast a Soulburn, it applies a special effect to Haunt. Your Haunt spell also increases the damage of your damage over time effects to all targets by 20% for 30 seconds. 30 seconds is a long time for a 20% increase. The thing about it is this. Haunt already costs a Soul Shard. Soulburn costs a Soul Shard. So if you Soulburn, put my pen on passive, and then Haunt, 2 Soul Shards gone. Okay. I have a weak aura displaying the duration of my Soulburn Haunt. And an important thing to note is when you apply Soulburn Haunt, it also applies the normal Haunt. So there's no reason to apply Soulburn Haunt and Haunt right after because it's automatically doing it. Here's the thing, guys. Unless you have at least probably 850 to 900 haste, you probably shouldn't run Soulburn Haunt on a single target fight. And yes, even on a single target fight, Soulburn Haunt is better than Demonic Servitude. Please remember that. Soulburn Haunt will outdo a Demonic Servitude demon tenfold if you have enough haste. The problem is, you will not get very many Nightfall procs, which is a free Soul Shard, of generating Soul Shard. You will not get very many Nightfall procs if you don't have a lot of haste. And that's why Soulburn Haunt is not viable with low haste ratings. That's why going Demonic Servitude actually might be better. If you're getting up to my haste level, where you have 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, and even 1,400, if you really want to play Affliction, then running Soulburn Haunt is definitely the way to go. In AoE, Soulburn Haunt wins every single time. Every single time there's any 2 target, 3 target, 4 target, 6, 10, 5, 1,000 targets. Soulburn Haunt will always beat Cataclysm and Demonic Servitude. Cataclysm, I want to say it's viable, but it's just really not, because the damage from Cataclysm is good, but the application of your dots afterwards are completely useless. There's no point to it, because if the targets are going to be up long enough, Soulburn Haunt's going to win anyway. So Cataclysm for Affliction just really isn't that good unless you're trying to like farm some stuff, like some low-level stuff. I don't know. It could be good then. I don't use it. So let's get into the rotation really quick. Affliction doesn't really have a set rotation. It's kind of a wonky spec. And in saying that, I mean it's kind of subject to a lot of different things. A lot of different things could happen. A very important add-on, by the way, that you should get for this is AF dots. And this is the set of bars right here on my screen that display my dots, my Agony, Corruption, Unstable Affliction, and Haunt. And also tells me how many Haunts I have. And the thing about this add-on that makes it so useful is that it's a very easy and simple way to track your dots on the target without having to pay much attention to it, to be totally honest. It's very easy. Now, some of you may have noticed I'm running an RPPM Haste Trinket instead of my on-use Mythic Warforged Shards of Nothing. And that is because of the 4-set bonus for Affliction. Let me read this. When Nightfall activates, the cooldown of Dark Soul is reduced by 10 seconds. And again, Nightfall is a proc that gives you a Soul Shard, okay? And it's good, but with the 4-set bonus, it makes on-use trinkets shit. Now let me explain why, because my on-use trinket is a 2-minute cooldown, okay? Perfect. That's completely fine. And my Dark Soul is a 2-minute cooldown. Perfect, completely fine. But when I start getting Nightfall procs, only on the opener will my on-use trinket line up with my Dark Soul, and that's what makes it not worth using. Because you're going to start to get a shorter cooldown on your Dark Soul, and it's not going to line up with the Haste Trinket anymore, and it's not going to be worth it. So let's get into the rotation here, okay? I have some nice haste gear that I should throw on right here. A haste ring. I mean, got to get all that haste that you can get, so. I'm actually not currently enchanted haste either, but let's just go into this. So the general rotation on a single target fight, let me put my pen on aggressive, is you're going to pre-pot, and then you're going to haunt and then you're going to pop Dark Soul Misery and apply your 3 dots. Okay, so I'll just show you that real quick. Haunt, cooldowns, Unstable Affliction, Agony, Corruption, and then you start channeling Drain Soul. Now, Drain Soul is a filler spell that makes your dots tick more often. I'm going to renew my Haunt down there. I'm going to renew my Agony, or my Unstable Affliction down there. And my cast bar kind of is in the way. I don't have my UI very well set up for Affliction, but I don't give a shit. My Agony is going to run out. I can see it over here. So I'm going to reapply that. And you just keep Drain Souling. And keeping your dots up. And there's a Nightfall proc. So that's a general single target rotation if you're not using Soulburn Haunt. Now, I am using Soulburn Haunt, so let's just pull this guy back a little bit. Bring him off the target. Now, if you were using Soulburn Haunt, you'd preferably have a 25-second pull timer. If not, whatever. Just guess you're going to have to live with it. So let's just wait for some of my shards to come back, and I'll explain that here in a second. Alright guys, so we're back at full soul shards here. Now I'm going to show you how to do the opener if you're using Soulburn Haunt, which, if you have enough haste, you should be. So, assuming you have a 25-second pull timer, say the 25-second pull timer goes out right now. You're going to Soulburn, and you're going to wait. And you're going to keep waiting. And you're going to keep waiting. Such is the life of an Affliction Warlock, and you're going to keep waiting. And you're going to keep waiting. And waiting. And waiting, and as the timer ticks down and everyone's getting pissed at you for being an Affliction Warlock, it's going to get close, okay? Timer's going to go off right about now. So you're going to want to pre-pop before it goes off, and then apply Haunt, pop your cooldowns, apply Unstable Affliction, Agony, I fucked up my Unstable Affliction, and then immediately beginning channeling Drain Soul, okay? Start going. As you can see up there on my weak aura, I have my Soulburn Haunt applied. I'm going to reapply that. Reapply that. Reapply my Haunt. Now you can see my Soulburn Haunt's getting low. If your Soulburn Haunt is getting low, pool your soul shards and try to make sure that you have 2. Here we go. I'm going to reapply it. And it's going to also apply Haunt to the target. Just keeping my dots up. Let's use my second Dark Soul, whatever. My pet's not attacking, that's fine, I don't give a shit. Probably should have noticed that, but that's okay. Don't really need the pet. As you can see, I only have about 13 seconds left to my Soulburn Haunt, so I'm not going to use the Soul Shard that I have for a normal Haunt. I'm going to just hold on to it. There we go. I got the proc for another one. And I'm just going to go ahead and reapply Soulburn Haunt now. There we go. Perfect timing. And I got the Haunt on the target as well. Pretty easy. Now, the single target rotation for Affliction is pretty damn easy. This spec actually gets hard when you're multi-targeting. Let me explain why, okay? Let me just turn around, for example, and I'm going to practice on these 2 lower level target enemies, okay? I'm just going to apply my dots to one really quick, and then I'm going to apply my dots to the other one. Now, I'm using tidy plates so I can see my dot timers above them. Then you're going to start channeling. And you're going to be watching these dots. Very normal. But then you got to remember, you got this guy dots, so you got to switch back and renew the dots on him. Sometimes it's worth redoing your Agony quickly, just so that it doesn't fall off, because that 10 stack's pretty awesome. I'm going to do Soulburn Haunt. Ideally, you'd have a pretty nice uptime on Soulburn Haunt anyway. I'm going to Haunt this target, switch back to the other one, renew my Unstable Affliction. Do that. It's just a lot of micromanagement. This is what makes Affliction difficult. It's not the rotation is very hard. It's not that understanding the spec is very hard. It's understanding how to micromanage your dots. Because it used to be where you could just soul swap your dots back and forth between 2 targets. It's not like that anymore. That doesn't work. So we're going to reapply Soulburn Haunt here. And channel Drain Soul on this guy. And this is all it is. I mean, this is Affliction. I personally don't enjoy this playstyle, but if this is what you like, then by all means play it. Affliction really isn't that hard. Another annoying thing about Affliction is it has the same mana issues that Demonology does. So when your mana gets low, like mine is starting to get, you're going to want to just life tap. And it'll bring some of your mana back. And that's actually not on my bars, because I'm the best Affliction Warlock that ever lived. Life tap and get some of that back. And that's, I mean, it's pretty simple. In a bunch of AoE, what I usually do is I apply Unstable Affliction to everything. say I'm just dotting all this shit. Just put a UA on everything. Affliction Warlocks are pretty garbage on trash packs because they don't do very much AoE. So we're just going to dot all that shit and then go back to the first one and keep that rolling. So that's pretty much it. I mean, Affliction really isn't that difficult of a spec. If you'd like to see my cooldown macro for Affliction, here it is. It's Show Tooltip, Dark Soul, Misery. Cast Dark Soul, Misery, use 13, use Draenic Intellect Potion. Sometimes it might be better to not use your Draenic Intellect Potion every time. Also, if you can Lust at the start of a fight, you're going to do much more burst as Affliction because it's a lot of haste. So it's going to make it a lot easier. That's pretty much it for Affliction. I mean, keep a good Soulburn Haunt up time, keep your dots up on the target. And that's pretty much it, guys. So I hope this is what you guys were looking for. The Glyphs, a good one is Unstable Affliction. Now, looking at this, it reduces the cast time of Unstable Affliction by 25%. You might think that's a DPS increase, but it's really not. Don't get that in your head, because it's not. It's just really nice so you can apply Unstable Affliction quickly. It does not actually increase your DPS. So just remember that. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys later.